Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to first install the Proxmox virtual environment, and then we download it first. And once we download, you see that download will take a while. So I'll skip that part. And then once it's downloaded, I'm going to install the Proxmox. So I create a new VM, Proxmox. I'm going to upload the IOSs from the Proxmox download folder. Here it is. And something I have to very cautious about it is its distribution, Linux Debian 64-bit. I click finish, and once that's been done, I'm going to turn it on. But before I do that, I have to change some things in here, system features. I'm going to give a RAM of um, 4096 megabyte, 4 gigabyte. I'll change the boot order starting from optical, put it up. Then I'm going to change the number of cores from 1 to 2, increase, and then make sure this is nested paging because we're running Proxmox on a virtual environment, so it must be nested paging. And yes, the core is 2 and must click these two features, PENX and nested VT. And then I'm going to change the network to NAT. I'll create some port forwarding for it. The TCP port will be 80006 and the guest port will be as is. I will not have any IP address so that I can use the localhost as localhost.8006 to get the web interface Proxmox. That's it. Now I'm going to start it to install the Proxmox from the iOS image. It's loading, install the V graphical environment from. It's loading from the iOS image to get me to the installation screen. Here we go. End user license agreement, EULA. I agree. The target has this, I would keep as is. The country location will be Saudi Arabia for us. Make your password. So that will be the username and password for your Proxmox login, not the any admin or root password as such. So set your password for the root user. This is for the root user. Set your dummy email for it. Change the fully qualified domain name here. Install. So it will take a while. So I'll skip that part, that installation or copying full files from the iOS image. So installation is now successful. Once I reboot, I have to take the iOS image CD off. I'm going to remove it. I'm restarting the Proxmox virtual machine. So it will come back same. So I have to turn it off so that I can remove the iOS CD so that it boots now from the hard disk, the virtual disk. So remove it. Now I'm going to start Proxmox. Finally, it's loading. The username is root and the password is the password I set. I logged in. Once I log in, now I'm going to the web interface. So localhost.8006. So that's a certificate. You can just trust it. username root, password was my password. Now I'm in the data center. So Rono is the node I created. And in here, firstly, I would upload two iOS image for my virtual environment. So you see that there are two images already here because I uploaded before I start preparing this demonstration. So I'm going to local network Rono. I click that, sorry, local Rono. I click that, and I'm going to go to the iOS image, click upload button, select the file from my download folder. So I'm going to show you here how I upload the router image. You have seen that if I'm not going to click the upload because I already uploaded, but this is how you upload the iOS image on your virtual environment. So one task is done. Now the next task is I'm going to create some virtual switch, which we call bridge here. So click Rono and the network. Okay. So this is the default virtual switch which connects to the internet. You see that internet, and I can in the comment I put the comment internet and management. So I create Linux bridge, and then I would leave it blank. So this is my first Linux bridge I created, VMware 10. The VMware 0 was the default one, which connects to the internet. I haven't changed it. So I added VMware 10, 20, 30 as such. I just added for my lab three virtual switches we call bridge. So we created. Once you're done, you have to click the apply configuration. So far we have actually uploaded the image. We created the Linux bridges. That's so far we have done, and we applied that bridges we created. Now we are going to add the IP addresses in the interfaces. So that command cat /etc network interfaces, that command, you see that I have made a mistake here. You see that the cat and then etc has got a slash and a space, so I'm just correcting it. So that will be the configuration for the network interfaces as of now after I have applied the configuration, right? The created virtual bridge configuration. So make sure that it stays as is. If not, you come to this prompt and then sudo nano and then change the network interfaces like this if you get stuck with the applet configuration. After that, we're now going to create the VMs. So I click the create VM and then I give a name client, and I'll select the OS next. So clicking OS and iOS image, we have the uploaded iOS image. So for the client, I'm using the same Ubuntu server image, and for the server, I also use the Ubuntu server image. So the disk space memory should be 10 gigabyte. Memory should be as fine. Network. Now I'm going to tag this network. The virtual bridge I created, VMware 10, is for the client. I selected it and then clicks finish. So in that way, I created the client VM, right? And then you see that there are some multiple VMs because I already created. And then now I'm going to clone it. And then I'll change the clone VM to the server, and that's how I created, because the client and server here is the same image. But I'm showing you now how I upload the router image. See the same, I create VM. And then now instead of the Ubuntu server, I'm just using the VIOS iOS image for my router. So I'll keep the memory, network, everything like before, and then click next, next, next. I have created the router image as well, the router VM. So this is how we created the VM from the uploaded image. Now I'm going to add the network interface. So in the client selected, you come to the hardware, go, and you see that in the hardware you already have VMware 10 for the net 0, right? So to create new ones, you click hardware and then add, and then you bridge it. So for server, I'll use here VMware 20 for the server. So click on the server VM, and you see that the server VM has also created VMware 20 for net 0, and for the router, click add network device, and then I created here 2, 10, and 20 and 30, and then I have mapped it like that for net 0 and net 1 interface. So that's how I added the network interface with the bridges. I created VMware 10 is net 0, and VMware 20 is net 0 for server, and 10 and 20 for the router, net 0 and net 1. Now I'm going to turn on the client VM. I just double click it, click start button, and then it's running now, the VM. And this is all in the virtualized environment. Okay, so we are running Proxmox on top of Oracle VirtualBox. On there we have virtualized environment Proxmox, and in this Proxmox we have 3 VMs: client, router, and server. So the username is CL for the client, even though this is a server login showing because it's the Ubuntu server image. And the password I typed, and then I'm in here. So IPA will give you the IP address for this client machine I have set up. And server is, I'm turning on, and I'll show you the server IP. And from the lab manual and from the description, you get the commands how I configure the IP for address for client and server and for the router. So this is the server IP. You see that ENS 18. Now I'm turning on the router, but this would be a different. So it was pinging. So VYOS image. So same way I can show the IP address IPA, and you see that there is no IP configured because this is a router image. It's not Ubuntu server image. Uh, in here, this is configured, but the configuration should be different. In the description, you would find the configuration command for the client and the server from the router. So router, client and server, all IPs address are set up. Now I'm going to ping from the client machine, ping 10, 20, 20, 20, which is the server machine, and it's pinging. So this is now showing a client machine can ping a server over a router. Okay, so that's the proof of concept lab. And in the server, I'm running a Python HTTP server. So it's running in this Python HTTP server. You see that server is serving. Now on the client, if I do the curl to the server IP, which is 10, 20, 20, 20, so I'm going to give the command curl HTTP and then 10, 20, 20, which is the server IP. You'd see that server responds back to the client. That's all for this lab to demonstrate. That's how I do it. Thank you.